Hey, this is Travis Artz, the voice actor for Hot Rod on Transformers Cyberverse, and you're watching In Conversation with Amber the Fangirl.
Hi guys, Amber here. Welcome back to In Conversation with ATF. My guest today is an actor and a voice actor as well. You may know him on the voice acting side as the voice of Hot Rod in Transformers Cyberverse. And well, oh, it's Rodimus himself. He's not Rodimus though, is he? No, I don't think he's Rodimus in the series.
In Cyberverse, no, they never refer to him as Rodimus. But you know what? I think in my opinion, all the Hot Rods are Rodimuses, and all the Rodimuses are Hot Rods.
Yeah.
Inter universe. I think it all applies.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But not
Um,
everyone's a Rodimus Prime though, and
oh
I am
no,
not.
no.
But that's okay.
Oh, but
That's
look,
okay.
you could do a hot rod cosplay. Like I've seen people do cosplays of like Transformers, and just
I
they turn
have
out really well.
I have on my TikTok. Yeah. I have.
Really?
Yeah. I don't have any photos of it around or anywhere.
Ooh.
But yeah, it's on my TikTok. I've done some Hot Rod cosplay. It's more on the
I'm gonna have to
human
maybe look
formers
at them.
side.
Like I have to make it look. You know what I'm
It's
like.
yeah, it's more on the human formers side of things, I would
Yeah,
say.
that's what people
But
mainly do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because it could be a little more DIY with it. But it
Uh,
was fun. I found, I
got the
found like
shirt.
I got the shirt. I love that shirt. Yeah, I love that shirt. That's what I wear for conventions and stuff. I wore it for TF Con recently. And then I found like a yellow vest to kind of hint at the yellow spoilers.
Mm.
And then I found and I experimented with a few things. First I got a red football helmet, but I found that it was a little too bulky, so I got like a red baseball helmet because it kind of fit a little tighter. Yeah. And then I do some like kind of glittery silvery eye makeup. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's so sweet. And I've just had a bit of a look through your TikTok. You
Yes.
did tell me you met David Mendenhall at TF Con.
Yes. 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 Do we yes, I met a couple.
Daniel
I mean, I met
Witwicky.
yes.
Yeah.
Um, oh my gosh, that was so cool. He came up to me
I was
like
gonna say, because I don't think
uh,
he was a guest, was he?
not officially, but there's it was in LA, so
People
there were
pop,
so many,
people come and
yeah,
go.
people, exactly. And it was really cool. He had, I think, seen one of the panels that I did. Either I think it was the
Ah.
script reading he saw,
Oh,
and
that's so cool.
he came up to me and just said the nicest things, like just so cool and genuine and so sweet. Um, and I'm a fan, and so it was just so cool. Yeah, I can't say enough nice things. He's the sweetest, the nicest guy, absolutely. So that was a huge highlight for me. It was very cool. Yeah,
And you met David Kay as well. He's also
I
been on
did.
my podcast. So you were his next door neighbor at his
That's right.
table.
That's
That's
right.
so
Yeah. it
cool.
was
Oh
it
my
was a real
god.
treat because Beast Wars was my introduction to Transformers.
Oh, was it?
So
Oh,
yeah, that was my first show, and it came around at just the right time for me. I was, I think, 7 years old when it started, and I was already watching cartoons and reading comics, and like that's like those are my origins. That's where it all starts for me. So that came around when I was 7 years old. I watched it in real time when it came out. I was getting some of the toys and stuff. And so yeah, for him to be my table neighbor was just mind blowing. It was so cool. And I tried to play a little cool. I didn't, but I really gushed. I did. I was like, hey, I just want to say, Beast Wars, that was my first Transformers show. You're my
oh,
first Megatron. And, I ended up going on to voice a Transformer. So this is very cool. I said the same thing to Ian James Corlett too. Uh because he was also at TF Con. And yeah, I tried to play. I didn't ask for a picture though. I wanted to play it a little cool, It's like, yeah, okay, just want to let you know.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I definitely went on about it.
I I've just realized I didn't get to, I completely we went off top. Well, it's the main thing of this podcast. We go off topic. I
Uh,
forgot to finish my introduction.
please do. Please
Oh
go.
dear. I'll be as quick as I can. Don't worry. My guest has played in live action Scott Anderson in The Mind of a Murderer, Ari in Becoming Jiff. He has also appeared in shorts such as Consumers, The Summoners, Creatures of the Night, and has also performed in stage shows such as Alice in Neverland, My Very Own British Invasion Ensemble, Rent, Pump Boys and Dinettes, $1 Million Quartet, Acoustica Electronica, Revolting Rhymes. My guest is Travis Artz.
Wow, we went into the deep cuts of my resume there.
Um,
Those are the
I
deep
read them.
cuts. I
I read
love
them
it.
all. I read them all. I'm a
I
stage actress
appreciate
myself.
it so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for doing that. Yeah.
You're
Yeah, you could
welcome.
find me in a couple places. Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, as a stage actress myself, because I'm doing performing arts and stuff like that, and because I'm going into voiceover, but obviously I have to do like all this thing. So I've done a lot of stage performances and stuff like that. So just me, it does kind of it hits close to home, but in a good way.
Sure. Yeah, that's really cool to hear. That's awesome.
I know. Honestly,
What
it's
what are
fun.
what are some of your favorite shows that you've done so far? Anything
Uh,
that you've liked in particular?
I'd
Or
say probably. Oh,
or I was gonna say, are you just ready to go into voiceover?
oh, the stage shows that I've performed.
Yeah.
We did It's a Wonderful Life back in 2021.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know,
That's
yeah.
lovely. That's a
So
good
I
one.
I played Violet Bick. I got a solo song. I was donned in 1950s makeup. I was like, I looked amazing, and
That's
it was
so
quite fun.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
it's it.
awesome.
It only got out of the 5 or 6 shows. We only got 2 done because when the third one was supposed to start, because this was around the time when COVID was about. Our teacher tested positive for COVID,
Oh,
so they had to cancel the
no.
show like
I'm
10
so
minutes
sorry.
after we were meant to go on stage. So
Oh,
it's
I'm
all
so
right.
sorry. But at least
It's
you
all
got to
right.
perform it. You got to
Yeah,
perform some. Yeah, that's really cool.
I
Yeah.
have to dig out some photos. I'm trying to think. There's
Yes.
there's one that we did for the Connections program, which is like a theatre program in the UK.
Yeah.
We did a show called Chat Back. I don't know
Okay.
what it's about. I think it's like it's a bunch of estate kids or something like that. But it's very
Okay.
very hard plot.
Yeah.
And we got to perform that on stage at the Crew Lyceum Theatre, which is like nearly an hour or something away from us, but just to perform it on like a proper theatre stage, like with
Oh,
actual audience and stuff like that, it felt like, oh my gosh, I'm in like a musical or something like that, or I'm in an actual like stage show or something. It felt really fun. It really did.
that experience and that feeling is really something for sure.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
definitely. And I think that's it. I think those are definitely probably my 2 favorites, to be fair. I can't really
Nice.
think of anything else. Yeah. Oh, what
Well,
about
thanks.
yours? Yeah. What about your
favorite
favorite ones?
favorite ones that I've done. You mentioned there's a show that I play guitar mainly. That's my main instrument. And so when you play an instrument, you tend to get kind of put in these tracks for certain shows, like especially regionally. And one of them can be this show called Pump Boys and Dinettes, and it's a show that takes place in the show. It takes place in North Carolina. It's about this group of gas station attendants and diner waiters who kind of sing songs about their life working at the diner and gas station, and we are the band, so we're actually playing, accompanying ourselves and singing. And I've done that 4 times in like some in different theaters and some like remounts of the same production, but that's kind of a fun one for sure.
That sounds
Yeah.
amazing. Oh my gosh, have you? I was gonna sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, very very non-Transformers related, but
So, where did your career start? Like, whereabouts did you grow up, Travis?
I grew up in Bayonne, New Jersey, a city called Bayonne, which is
Hmm.
right next to Jersey City. That's probably most people's point of reference for New Jersey if they've, heard of some of these cities. Uh, Also very close to New York, like, depending on the traffic, like 20 minutes. Um, maybe more, like a half hour. But yeah, I grew up there, grew up actually started dancing. That's kind of my performance origins. I grew up like going to the like my local dance studio and dancing, and started doing some acting, and at especially when I got to high school. A little bit before that, I started doing some shows with that dance studio, taking acting classes. Got to high school, started doing shows there. You know, we did Grease and Pippin and all that kind of stuff, and ended up going to college in New York for acting, for drama. Did that, graduated. We There was a showcase at the end of my time at school, where they invited managers and agents, casting directors, and I met my then managers through that. When I signed with them, they were recommending a bunch of classes to take for with casting directors and agents, and I took this class with a casting director named Andy Roth, who's fantastic. I think he still teaches, still casts. He is fantastic. If you know any prospective voice actors out there looking for good workshops and classes, I highly recommend his. Um, did that around the same time. I also did a workshop for on-camera commercial work, and at the end of it, they had a showcase for agents. I met what would then be my on-camera commercial agent, which then turned into my voiceover agent in their voiceover department. They knew I was taking some workshops, so my managers at the time facilitated a meeting with them. And within my first year, I booked a radio commercial with them for Sprint, the telephone. I don't think it exists anymore, but then telephone company. And then just throughout the years, I consistently would book some work with them year after year, among doing other things like we mentioned, like theater, some on camera stuff. So a couple years in, I think this was around 2017. So I think like 5 years or so into working with them, booked some things here and there, mostly radio spots. Um, I got an audition for. I'm just kind of just segueing into my Transformers. How I Is that okay? I'm sure that was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah,
separate
that's
question
completely fine. Go
because it kind
ahead.
of runs into it. I got an audition for Rescue Bots Academy, as I'm sure you know many people are fans of.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I have another funny thing about Rescue Bots Academy. Remind me later, if I forget. But audition for Rescue Bots Academy. Uh, Felt like I had a really good audition. Um, Felt really strong about it. Didn't end up getting anything for it. But a little while after that, the same casting director called me in for Transformers Cyberverse. Um, so got a couple roles to audition for that, and I started with Hot Rod, Soundwave, and Teletran X.
Ooh,
So
okay.
yeah, prepared those, went in, and I've said this a couple times now. If I had not gotten actually booked the role, and you know, where I am now with it, having done it, I would have told you that that was one of the worst voiceover auditions I've ever had. If I had not gotten it,
You would have
what?
thought.
Yeah, I went in, did those roles, and just didn't, with the exception of Hot Rod, which makes sense now, didn't feel like I had a really good grasp on the characters, and just like didn't have great reads. So I did those three, read for those three roles. The casting director sent me back out with a couple more roles to read for. Came back in, I looked them over, came back in, felt the same way, just like didn't have a good grasp on it, just didn't feel confident about the reads. So I walked away from that feeling pretty upset. Like, oh man, I just
Like
blew that.
dejected,
Yeah,
sort of.
exactly. I thought, oh no, like I ruined this relationship with this casting director. And you know, like I mentioned, grew up with all these kind of different fandoms, comic books and cartoons, and Transformers being among them. And so to be associated with this kind of thing was actually really, it's really important to me. It's a huge it's a huge highlight. But back then I was like, oh no, I just, I ruined a shot to kind of be a part of something like that. Couple weeks go by, I think it was like 3 weeks, and I'm having lunch before one of my survival jobs, side jobs. And I got a call from my agent, and he said, oh hey, so you booked Transformers. I was like, oh wow, okay, that is a surprise. Good, cool. And he's like, yeah, I sent you the information, you got the role of Hot Rod. It's like, wow, okay. And that's that. And here
The
I am
rest is
now.
history.
The rest is history, as they say. Exactly. So yeah, yeah. But it just goes to show, especially with acting, like you just never know. Like something you think, and who knows, maybe I didn't nail the other roles, but it also goes to show, like, it just takes one. It just takes one, like having a lock or just being right for that one thing that can be it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's this funny thing that you're on about Rescue Bots Academy?
Okay, so a while before Transformers for either of us,
Mm-hmm.
I was the Rescue Bots Academy hotshot voice actor. His name is Pierce Cravens. Years before Transformers for either of us,
Yeah.
I was his understudy in an off-Broadway musical. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he had already had the
Ooh.
role, and they were looking for understudies for it. And so I auditioned for it, and yeah, so I shadowed him for like, maybe a couple weeks, 2 months, and I've got to know him that way. He's super nice, super cool. But yeah, years later, we're both kind of playing these also very similar archetypes. And I found out because I was doing some research on behindthevoiceactor.com and just like looking through, on there, like you can like click a franchise and they'll show like
Yeah,
a whole
yeah.
database of all the voice actors involved with it. And I'm going through and I see Pierce's face and name, and I'm like, Pierce? And I clicked on it. I was like, oh my God, he was hot shot. And by that point, I kind of known about the association with the both of them. And we even had a joke on Cyberverse on my first appearance about kind of how they're kind of interchangeable. And I reached out, and he said, we have to stop getting cast in the same roles. So from
That's
understudy,
brilliant.
yeah. Yeah. So it's funny how that works out.
Oh, wow, what a lovely story.
Yeah, it's pretty
Wow.
funny. Yeah.
So, going on to Cyberverse real quick.
Hmm.
Um, so like, I presume you recorded alone? How did you record?
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't
we all recorded solo individually at a studio here in New York. Um yeah, we would get some scripts, for my first season I was only in 2 episodes. So I can't remember if we did both episodes in one session or if I came back, but I would get 1 to X number of scripts ahead of time. Actually, in future sessions, we crammed in a lot. Like sometimes I would do like a third of a season in 45 minutes to an hour. Yeah. So I would
Wow.
get a certain number of scripts ahead of time, go in, and we all recorded solo individually in the booth. There was like a director, line producer, engineer. Some of the writers would sometimes be phoned in um, on the sessions, and go in. You do each line 3 times, try to mix it up for each take. I would get a note or not. They would a lot of times favorite their star their favorite line on the spot. They'd be like, okay, line B, and move on. And that's how we did it for all 4 seasons, or 3 seasons and 2 specials, however you want to look at it. Yeah.
Ah, I see. So,
Yeah.
how do you think you relate to Hot Rod? Do you think you have some sort of similarities, or if Hot Rod was ever transformed into a human? would he be transformed into you or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's definitely a reason why I got cast. I think there's something, at least in the way they wrote this particular iteration. I think there's something a little inherent in me in that portrayal of Hot Rod. Trying to think exact, pinpointing the characteristics. He I think there's I don't know, what words would you use to characterize Cyberverse Hot Rod? I mean,
Hmm.
I'm
I
trying
think
to
just probably if he was a dad, he'd probably be one of the best fathers of the show.
uh,
I don't know, he just gives
wow.
off that fatherly vibe or something, or
I love
like a
that.
secondary,
Robot. Yeah,
yeah, robot
robot
dad.
dad.
Yeah,
Robot
like a
dad.
secondary
Yeah.
dad robot, like
I
Optimus
think
or something like that. I don't know.
for sure. Yeah, I think definitely his positive outlook, his sometimes, overconfidence perhaps, I relate to some of those things for sure, for sure. Um Sometimes, maybe there's a little naivete, I think, in some of that, and I think I share a little bit of that as well. Um yeah, yeah. Definitely some similarities there. I think, yeah, I think it would, he maybe would, I would maybe be his human former in some ways.
So back to TF Con, hello. Back
Yes.
to TF Con LA. Peter Cullen. Let's talk about Optimus. So you
Let's
yeah,
talk about
let's
Optimus.
let's do that. So like I've seen all your TikToks saying like how excited you are. But did you? So what was it like meeting him?
So we didn't actually I didn't get to meet him face to face, didn't get to meet him in person because he
No
was,
way.
he's such a megastar. Obviously they're putting him in a dedicated room, signing room, and the
Yeah.
line was out the door. The line went
Oh,
outside, and so you know, he wasn't in the other guest signing area.
yeah.
Um,
I don't know why they do
but
that with him. It's weird.
it makes a lot of sense. I think it would just be pandemonium if he was on the main floor, and
Oh,
everyone kind of just
yeah.
taking, I totally get it. Um,
Yeah.
but but so our Windblade and Cosmos voice actor was there, Jessica Di Giovanni, and we both did a Cyberverse panel. And one really cool thing was, a highlight for me was our Cyberverse panel happened right before his panel in the same room. So, I kind of say like,
Wow.
yeah, I opened for Peter Cullen. I don't, maybe I don't
Who would
know.
have thought?
Yeah, technically, right? So, yeah, so I just like, we finished our panel. I grabbed a seat and I stayed for his panel. I watched it, and that was really cool. And just to be in that proximity to him, and to have shared the same space, with our panels, and then what he exited, and I got a good, good glance at him on his way out, and it was really cool. Huge highlight for sure. And
That
I'm
is so
hoping to
cool.
do some more of these, and coming up, and so I'll be a little more proactive about kind of sneaking into his signing area. We'll see.
I think it'll be really cool. Well, I mean, it's kind of weird how it works because, like, when it's Peter and Frank, they don't do panels with any of the other guests. Like,
Yeah.
they either do solo or they do it together. It's kind of weird how it works. I'm not sure it's because of their agent or something, but when
Yeah.
we went, oh, go
No,
ahead.
I was just gonna say that, I think with them, what's so cool is you can just do a Peter Cullen panel, because
Got a point, yeah.
his history with the franchise, and the amount that he's done for it, you know, that panel could have run 3 hours, and they still would not have had enough time to get through all the questions and all the stories. And so it makes total sense that, and same with Frank, so it makes total sense that they would just, it would be dedicated to them. So yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's kind of a bit funny because in Edinburgh when we met them, they weren't in a separate room. They were just all along the same line as all these other big guests and stuff like that. And
Wow.
you're thinking, oh, that's cool. And they had a meet and greet, £250. I didn't get it though. I wish I did that because they were all just in a room and it was like 10 people and just I don't know. I just want to go back to that weekend. But there was one person there
Oh,
who did have to have his own room. Who was it? Ewan McGregor.
wow.
So his section was like curtained off. Don't judge me. I'm wearing jammies. I've literally got pajamas on underneath the shirt
Hey,
because like
we're
I'm
we're
lazy.
home. We're home, you know.
It's all
And
pink, but I
gotta be
prefer
you gotta be
yellow.
comfortable.
I prefer yellow. That's my
Both
favorite
great
color.
both great options, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Either Bumblebee yellow or RC pink.
oh
Like
yeah,
both great
bumblebee
options.
yellow. Where's the other? Where's the other? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that one's
Yes.
lighter than that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like it wasn't like a separate room, but it was like a curtained off area, and you couldn't even
Yeah.
go in unless you had a ticket, like a photo op ticket and an autograph
Wow.
ticket. Yeah. So to meet him and yeah,
What con was this for?
Comic Con Scotland.
Wow.
Well, they now
Cool.
call it they I think they should call it Comic Con Edinburgh because they've just done another one in Scotland called Aberdeen, but I think they call that Comic Con Scotland Northeast or
Okay,
something like
cool.
that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd just be called Comic Con Edinburgh to be fair. So I just call it Edinburgh Comic Con because when you say Scotland Comic
Nice.
Con, you think, oh, is it happening all over the country? I'm like, where in Scotland? Just I'm like, it's Scotland, yeah. But that was a really fun weekend. Yeah, I
That's
got to go.
awesome.
So yeah, Peter and Frank did a panel, and I got to go and watch them perform live and just answer questions and just be on the front row. It just felt so good, and Frank gave me his script afterwards and signed it for me.
Oh, that's so cool. That's
I have it
lovely.
somewhere in my drawer.
Oh,
Actually, I'm gonna have to go get it. You know
go,
what I'm
go
like.
do it. Do it. Do it.
It's
Do it.
literally just here.
You know, while you're doing that, speaking of scripts,
Yeah.
we got to do a live script reading with that
Oh,
I took
really?
part in. That was really cool.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
And Sue Blue was a part of it.
Oh,
RC.
was she?
Oh my
I
gosh,
loved her.
it was so cool. Yeah, a lot of really great people.
Oh, I can't find it at the moment, but I can get a picture of it
Uh
for you. Uh, oh, oh. Speaking of Ewan McGregor, he's just. Oh, never mind. And my friend's local Comic Con is Twin Cities Comic Con. He's just sent me a message saying hello there. So I thought, as Ewan McGregor been announced, it's James Arnold Taylor, just as good though.
yes, yes, yes.
Um, so what? Sue Blue. Oh my god, she's doing TF Nation this summer.
That's
I am
awesome.
gonna go meet her. So great. She does a lot of good voice directing. Did the
Oh, of
original Teenage
course.
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
She did Beast
Beast
Wars,
Wars.
Transformers
Yes.
animated. Like, oh my
Yes.
gosh, she's
Yeah.
amazing.
I got to tell her that too, that like,
Really?
I love your RC and I grew up watching Beast Wars, so your direction work is, it's really big for me. And she was really cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. Let me
Yeah.
find this picture. Is
Go for it.
found it. Let's see if I can try and thing that. So you can't really see it because of the light. Let me try. Oh, that's all. But that's tons of photos from that weekend. It's such a fun
Yes.
weekend. Here we go. From it says if you can't read, it
Oh.
says from one actor to another. Frank Welker.
Come on. That is so cool.
Framing that. I want to frame that. It's
Yeah,
creased
you
because it was in his
gotta.
pocket, but I was like, I just embraced it. I was like, oh,
That's so cool.
good. Have you ever met Frank before?
No, I haven't. No, we haven't done. I'm pretty new to the con circuit. I've only just been doing cons like a little more than a year now. I did my first
Ah,
one, I think uh last, not this past March, but the March of 2022.
yeah, yeah,
And it was WinterCon, which is a New York Comic Con.
yeah.
Um, and that was my first time doing a convention. I've been to many conventions. I grew up going to conventions, but that was my first time as a guest.
Wow.
And then just throughout this year, I've been kind of hitting these cons here and there in the New York tri-state area, New York and New Jersey, and then this TFCon LA was the first time I've done a Transformers like dedicated convention. So that was my first time meeting a lot of Transformers voice actors. Yeah. Aside from the ones
Wow.
that, were on my show, our show.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
how much fan art did you get?
Sorry, how much what?
Fan art.
Fan art.
You
I
were
got a
talking about this before, weren't we?
That's right. I got a good amount of fan art. Really, really cool stuff. You know what? Since you're pulling up stuff, let me because I can
Guilty
yeah,
pleasure.
it was really
Guilty.
cool. People would come up and like have me, show me their fan art, have me sign their fan art for them, but also gifted me some fan art, which was just like so okay. So there's let's see. See if I can
I love the little hot rod sticker in your phone.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
adorable.
Uh this is from a artist named Bun Leong, Bun, last name Leung, and he makes
Mhm.
all these different kinds of stickers of different from different fandoms. And I passed him at a Comic-Con, I think it was
Mhm.
Anime NYC,
Yeah.
and saw all these stickers, and I was like, "Oh, these are so cool!" Like, yeah, he has these great Transformer stickers, and we just got to talking, and I said, I actually voiced this hot rod on Transformers Cyberverse, and
Yeah.
he said, "I have your figure." He said, "I have your Cyberverse figure." I said, "No way! That's really cool." I said, are you going to be around here the whole weekend?" He said, "Yeah." He said, bring it. Like, I'll sign it for you." And so he brought it. He signed it. I signed it. I bought a couple of his stickers, and a little bit after that, he ended up, after our conversation, making this hot rod. And he
That is
said like, "Oh yeah,
adorable.
us talking, made me think like, oh, I should make a hot rod." And so the next time I
Oh,
saw at a con, I had to get it and put it on my phone
that's
case. Yeah, really cool.
adorable.
Fan art. Yeah, I got just some really cool stuff. And let me see if I can pull up the
Wow.
names. That artist's name handle is Jiggly Star T, Jiggly dot star dot TTEA.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. Oh, there's this really cool one with this is a hot rod with their original character, and
Yeah.
that's Chilling Starrix. So it's chilling underscore Starrix, Starrix.
Hmm.
Oh, and this one that I actually got a physical copy of this.
Oh, that's
That
so cool.
it's in my other room, but yeah, and that's oh, do I have there? I don't know if I. Oh, weird
Oh, that
rabbit.
cosplayer, the silver shot. I think have I have,
Yes,
have I seen him before? I swear I don't. Uh,
that
he,
last one is Weird Rabbit 96. Just to, yeah, just want to
ah,
make sure I credit everyone. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, God, the fan art is so cool. Like, I mean, I grew up drawing too a little bit.
yeah,
Just kind of being in these fandoms, I liked to draw comic book characters and cartoons, and so I did that as a kid, and so to now be here and be involved in a property where people are making fan art of your character that you voiced, it's the best feeling. It's so cool.
yeah, and it's also goes for same for like voice acting. It's a hobby. It's like you do it because you love it. It's not a
Yes,
job if you love it. It's something you just do for fun.
for sure,
Just,
for
just
sure.
look at your Instagram, just going up and just seeing all these funny things. The guy with the Decepticon mask, I felt was really cool. The
Are you talking about
cosplayer,
the Tarn, the purple
Dennis.
mask?
Dennis, yeah, so his name
Okay,
was.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I really like
that.
that.
Oh, so cool. I mean, the cosplaying too is just amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
I joked about it on my social media that a couple people met me in Tarn cosplay, and if you watch the show, in the last episode, Tarn just brutally beats my hot rod, like
Ooh.
right before Soundwave steps in and saves me. So I found it very
Soundwave
funny.
saving you?
I know, right? I know. Love him. Love the
Is he
guy.
being Autobots? What's going on in the
We
cyberverse?
had we had a really we were tight. We were tight in Cyberverse. We were, yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So is Tana Decepticon or? Is he?
Yes, in our continuity. Well, mm, just kind of make sure I'm explaining. In our continuity, oh geez, now I'm kind of oh boy. Oh no, I'm gonna get roasted for this because I'm forgetting the origin now. Tarn was created by I think there's a character that's introduced called Megatron X. That's a
Yeah.
Megatron from a different universe.
Yeah. Okay.
And Tarn, I think, and all the other Tarn kind of so there's like a whole, I don't know, like race of Tarns, right?
Yeah.
And they're all made the same.
Yeah.
Um, and then Tarn in the last episode kind of steps in and takes control of all of them and fights the Autobots and the Decepticons in that last episode. But I think
Yeah.
Tarn and his his whole group of Tarns is created by Megatron X, who then Megatron X is overtaken by the Tarns. Oh boy, I am butchering this. Anyway, chaos ensues. Tarn takes over, and we have to overtake Tarn and his
Yeah.
army of Tarns.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
I'm
literally just
sure
look.
someone can explain that much better than I just did.
Yeah, maybe. But hey, at least you had a go at explaining. It shows how much like
Exactly.
is you actually research into the character. You don't just do the voice, you actually look into
Oh,
sort
for
of the
sure.
origins and background of
Oh,
it.
trust me, I knew a lot better when I first read the script, but it's been a minute. But I do go back and watch now for content for my social media and stuff because I like, it's fun to
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
make content about that stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. You just like
Yeah.
keep it up with the fans and stuff like that. I think it's really
Uh-huh.
cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I should just do a whole series of me trying to remember plot points from memory and how much I deviate from actually what happened.
Yeah, I would watch that. I would watch that
Okay.
honestly.
All
Get on my
right. I'm
TikTok,
gonna
just watch it scrolling in bed. Just
All right.
just yeah.
You know what? I'll think about that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Travis. Actually, it's a good question. Now, when you were doing like coming up with the voice for Hot Rod,
Yeah.
did you take inspiration from people who've done it in the past? So Judd Nelson or Dick Gautier, maybe?
Um, yes and no. Or should I say
Okay.
no and yes?
Okay.
Because when I
You
first
know.
got the yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
first got
No,
the
yeah.
audition,
Go
I
ahead.
I just I just kind of used the sides, which ended up being my Hot Rod's first uh appearance script.
Yeah.
I sort of just used that as my source material and my point of reference, and I recognized in that the character, at least from the ones that I was auditioning for, that one was closest to me, and that was going to be closest to my voice, or just like a slightly elevated version of my voice. And when people who aren't familiar with the show, I tell them I voiced a Transformer and I voiced Hot Rod, and they were like, "Oh, can you do the voice?" And I say, "I basically am right now. I'm kind of already doing it." So in preparing for that, it was much closer to my voice than some of the other characters I auditioned for. So that was kind of my preparation doing for the audition. After I booked it, I obviously, yes, I went back and watched the G1 movie. Now, my point of reference for, like I mentioned before, for Transformers is really Beast Wars. So a
Yeah.
lot of those G1 characters, they don't really, not many of them make much of an appearance, especially like I feel like in the first two seasons. You have that episode where Starscream takes over, possesses Waspinator.
Yeah.
So there's some little things like that, but for the most part, those are completely original characters.
Hmm.
So that's really my point of reference for Transformers. So I did go back, look at the G1 movie, and when I watched Judd Nelson's interpretation, which is incredible, I what it helped me recognize why they cast me, seeing the kind of the similarities in our voices and performances, and it, it informed me in the way that it affirmed what I had already chosen to do. Does that kind of make sense? It told me, oh, what I did for the audition was the right choice, and I
Yeah.
see why they cast me, and so I think I'm going in the right direction. So it kind of informed me in that sense. So that's why I say no, yes, no, yeah.
Yeah. No,
You know what
yeah.
I
No,
mean?
yeah. No,
And
yeah.
because I had something kind of crafted before that, and
Hmm.
then I used that original interpretation to just affirm and kind of go further in that direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's understandable. Yeah.
What I
So
did realize
go
recently,
ahead. Sorry.
though, is that I think, it's funny, having gotten into this now and looking back at just cartoons I grew up watching and
Hmm.
seeing like, oh yeah, like that that person influenced me just by, not consciously, but just by being a huge fan of this show. It kind of worked its way into my vocal DNA. And I think one of the big influence for me, just, you know, kind of by permeation,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm saying that, but it permeating my consciousness by watching it is Ian James Corlitt's Cheetor. Like I watch that, I look back at that now, I'm like, oh, I think there's a lot of similarities between my Hot Rod and his Cheetor. So
Yeah.
definitely was some Transformers influence from back in the day, but just a different character.
Yeah. 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 I
Yeah,
totally get it.
yeah.
Yeah. So the final topic is about
Mm-hmm.
your television work.
Mm.
So the stuff that you've done for the telly on the box.
Hey, all
Yeah.
right.
So the Mind of a Murderer and Becoming Jiff. So what was it like to work on those two shows?
Fun, cool. Yeah, Becoming Jiff, that was a fun one. Um, I think I submitted myself on an acting site, went into audition, um, and got the role. And that was actually a really wild weekend because I had opened. I don't know if you're familiar with the musical Rent at all. There's
Yeah,
a
I think I
musical
mentioned. I think I mentioned it at the start.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so there's a musical called Rent. It's like a rock
Yeah, of course I
musical.
know it.
Yeah, okay, cool. I
Yeah.
was gonna say, you said theater. Yeah,
So yeah, so
okay,
it's a rock
yeah,
musical. And what
rock
sort of
musical.
yeah.
Um, I was we had just opened a production of it, and I was playing Roger,
Hmm.
and I had gotten sick that weekend, and so I was just like trying to like power through that weekend. And at the tail end of that weekend, we did taping for that Becoming Jiff.
Yeah.
So I was kind of running on fumes, and I was like, I just finished like my last show of the weekend before our day off, and so I went there, did that, and it was still really fun. Got through it. Yeah, and very funny. The script and my scene's funny and fun. So, um, yeah, if anyone hasn't seen it, it's on Amazon Prime. Becoming Jiff, Jiff, and I'm in the first 5 minutes, so you see me right away.
Nice.
Yeah, so there you go.
And what about in the Mind of a Murderer?
Mind of a Murderer. So that in the US, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure the UK has this kind of thing too, but they're like these like crime reenactment shows. I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
if,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, okay. So they'll have like experts or maybe people who were involved with the case, who the real people who, and they're interviewing them, and then they intercut that with reenactments of the crime. In this case, yes, it was a murder. Um, and I was playing a real life person, and I was kind of this accomplice to the person who did it. And yeah, it was really wild. I leading up to it, I was looking at some of the interviews of the people involved, and yeah, it's a really trippy experience, I guess, playing, these people who have committed these horrible acts. But
Yeah.
it was interesting. Yeah, I've done a few of those kind of reenactment shows. They're really. I've played a French king before for one.
Ooh.
Don't ask me which one. I forgot. But I got to wear like a long purple robe and a crown. That was really fun, and sign a document, a very important historical document.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yes, but yeah. So really, really interesting experience. So that was kind of what happened with that one. Yeah.
What was your biggest one to film for Mind of a Murderer? Like the most extreme uh like reenactment that you did for that?
Uh, I mean, we actually taped, like, we reenacted the murder. That was pretty wild. And for the most part, the character I played, it was like this accomplice. From what I remember, I I think he didn't quite know what he was getting into. So they show up to this house, and his friend who pulls him along to do this actually commits the act. And so this my character is kind of just watching it happen, but he
Yeah.
becomes an accomplice in the way he covers it up and like is trying to get away. But that was a really surreal thing to kind of reenact that scene. Really kind of chilling.
Oh yeah. That must have
Yeah.
been. Ooh.
Yeah.
Um, my final question to you,
Mm-hmm.
Travis, is I know you've done a Hot Rod and Cyberverse, and that's been your only
Yes.
voiceover role to date. Would you like to do more voiceover, whether it be in animation or video games or?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I'm it's well, and you're an actor yourself, so I know you've seen probably this aspect of things, but the it's a constant process. I audition all the time for a lot of different things, and it's a big field. There's a lot of incredible talent. So, I'm just constantly going at it. Yeah. There's a funny thing, and I'm not really credited for it. But I did. There's this game called Henry Danger Crime Warp,
Yeah.
and it's a I don't know if you know who Henry Danger is, the
Yeah,
Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon show, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, okay. So they have some mobile app games for him. And
Yeah.
a while before, a couple of years ago, this was before Transformers, I got hired as a sound alike for, I think the actor's name is Jace Norman, who plays Henry Danger.
Oh wow.
They were looking for a sound alike for this game, and so I recorded some stuff for that. I don't know how much they actually used. I I'm guessing I'm on some of the game. I don't know if it was like a mix of his stuff and my stuff, or all him, or so. But yeah, I did record for it, so I was sort of Henry Danger for a little bit.
That's
But I
really cool.
Henry Danger Crime Warp. But yeah, and in addition to that and Transformers, I've done commercials for Sprint, um, Subway, like the sandwich company.
Yeah.
There's a It doesn't exist anymore, but there's a California theme park called California's Great America. I've done some promos for Nickelodeon. That was like promotionals for Ryan's Mystery Playdate, and Ryan, he's like the YouTuber who did
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
unboxing and gift stuff. Yeah, so he had a show on Nickelodeon, so I did actually did holiday promos for him. So I was singing like changed lyrics to holiday songs to promote that show. So yeah, that's some of the other stuff I've done.
Oh, that's really cool. I think
Yeah.
that has been where I've heard you from. Like someone I've put it on Twitter or something. I was like,
Oh, cool. Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, yeah.
I
But
don't know.
yes, I'm constantly I'm auditioning, and just looking forward to the next thing, whether it's Transformers, which would be great, or otherwise. Yeah.
Are you working on anything at the moment that you can say about?
Um, I'm doing a reading of a new musical next week. Um,
Ooh,
yeah, I tend to just keep myself busy with projects
yeah,
like that, stuff
yeah.
here and there. that's kind of the life of an actor. You do
Yeah.
wherever the work is. Some theater, some on camera, some voiceover, and
Yeah.
yeah, just keep trucking.
Well, I hope that goes well for you,
Thank
Travis.
you, thank
You're
you.
welcome. Travis, thank you so much for joining me on my little show. I had a great time today, and it's been wonderful to talk to you.
Thank you so much. This was an honor and a pleasure, and I really appreciate you having me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Where can we find you on the internet?
So I am at Travartz, TRAVARTZ,
Yep.
at TikTok. I'm most active on there. Uh, but also on Instagram, Twitter, and I'm Travis Artz Official on YouTube.
Okay. Well, I'll link all those in the description then.
Thank
And
you.
with that, this little podcast chat has come to an end. I know, but maybe we might be back in the future for part two. Maybe.
I would love that
Mm.
anytime. What are you doing
Yeah.
tomorrow? Let's do it tomorrow.
I think I've got a virtual event actually in the
That's
evening,
fair. That's
maybe.
fair. That's fair.
I don't know, maybe I might just end up packing my bags and going to Spain a day early. I don't know, but I don't know.
Incredible.
I have to go
Incredible.
sort it out. Let's go sort it out.
Sometime
Yeah.
well, sometime in the future then.
Yeah, well, I'm down for any time. You know what? Yeah, we'll do it. We could just talk about anything. I'll just, I'll
Amazing.
get a wheel of like random topics to talk about. I'll have to
Perfect.
plan it. I'll have to start planning everything.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, you have to make the wheel.
Yeah, with like all
Yeah.
different topics and stuff like that.
Yes.
And oh no, we forgot to discuss about one thing.
What? Gotta go ahead. Oh, Kevin. Yeah.
Going
Yeah.
on right. Did you grow
Yeah.
up watching Batman the animated series?
Oh, it was huge. Talk about influences.
Hey.
Hugely influential to me. Um, I mean, I grew up watching Batman the animated series. I distinctly remember owning copies of episodes and arcs on VHS. Yes, I'm old enough to have had owned VHS tapes. And yeah, he's
Sorry, I thought that was the
just
door opening. Then I literally my soul jumped out of my body.
oh my God,
Okay, you're gonna have to give me a few seconds to recover from that
it's
because I
okay.
feel
It's
like,
okay.
whoa. It feels weird when you get jump scared. Like, it feels like your whole body's just like, you've been sucked out of you and you're thinking, okay, that didn't just happen. That was just a
Especially you've
noise.
got that Adams Family poster, and they're a scary bunch.
Oh, yeah, they're coming
Yeah.
into my bedroom. Yeah, this is what I was after. It's a
Oh,
bumper collection
yes.
VHS tape. It's a British one.
Yes.
So it's got,
Oh, that's so cool.
I know.
Oh,
I know it has on it
it's
Holly and Ivy, Harley's Holiday, Catwalk, Batman Returns, Demon Quest Part 1, and the Demon Quest Part 2.
oh, so cool.
I've had a few people from the show on my podcast. I've had Diane Pershing, the voice of Poison Ivy. She's great.
Oh my gosh. That is
And
amazing.
it was on my birthday as well, so she sung the most beautiful rendition of Happy Birthday I've ever heard.
Oh, that's
I'm gonna have to
incredible.
send that to you now. I'm gonna have to
Yeah, I
send
have
that
to
to you.
see that. You're reminding me that I was lucky enough to at a Comic-Con,
Yeah.
Kevin did a panel for
You did!
Batman.
You saw
Yeah.
him!
And I saw him, and oh my gosh, I mean, he's just the best, and yeah, hugely influential, and is very missed. Very
Yeah,
missed. Love him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. What a man he was. Like,
Oh,
I barely
incredible.
met I barely met him. Like, it was only like a last minute decision. And like, I'd explored the con after I got my photo taken with him, and then I got to his table and he was gone. I was so sad. I was like,
At least you got to meet him.
yeah, I suppose.
That's
Wow.
incredible.
Yeah, I know, but it's the fact I got into Batman right after I met him. So I was like, oh,
Oh,
okay, we're gonna prepare for when he next comes to England. Yeah,
yes.
that's not happening.
No.
It's just
Yeah.
really sad. But let's end that on a light note.
Yes.
So that was really fun. So yeah, Batman's one of my hyperfixations, and I absolutely love it.
Batman Beyond.
Batman,
Huge fan.
that's a
Oh,
Batman Beyond photo because Will
that's it.
Friedle's there. I want him
Incredible.
on my show. He's another dream guest of mine.
Oh, influence. Talk about another influence for
Oh
sure.
yeah,
For
especially with
sure.
like Boy Meets World and everything like that.
Oh, I was a huge
And
Boy
because
Meets
he was
World fan.
Bumblebee, heck, he was
I
Bumblebee.
know. Isn't that wild?
I know, yeah, like
What a
what a
career.
legend. Yeah,
Yeah.
like he must have been like oh my god, like the 90s were literally made for Will Friedle. Wow. That was fun. That was fun. So
Yes.
yeah, you at home, thank you so much for watching this episode of In Conversation with ATF. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and me and Travis will see you around. Thank you for sticking around a little bit longer than expected. Bye. And
Roll out, roll
roll
out,
out
roll out.
and cut.